Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I am Adrian Fort, and we're here for another poetry discussion, which will appear in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one, obviously, being the poetry discussion playlist, but number two, being I don't know why I never have this on my desk when I start this. I always have to reach around for it. Reach for it. The poem by poem read through of Sylvia Plath's Big Yellow Book. This is the 16th in that 274 part series, and we're approaching, I believe, 300 poetry discussions in the poetry discussion playlist. The poem in question today is known as Tinker Jack and the Tidy Wives, which sounds like something you might hear on American Bandstand, but it is not that. It is something much more intriguing than that. Whatever happened to American Bandstand? Anyway, Tinker Jack and the Tidy Wives reads as such. Come, lady, bring that pot gone black of polish, and whatever pan this mending master should trim back to shape. I'll correct each mar on silver dish, and shine that kettle of copper at your fireside bright as blood. Come, lady, bring that face fallen from luster, time's soot and bleared eye can be made to glister for small change. No form's gone so awry, crook back or bandy leg, but Tinker Jack can forge beauty from hag. Whatever scath fierce fires wrought, Jack will touch up and fit for use. What scar's been knocked into cracked heart, Jack shall repair. And if there be young wives still blithe, still fair, whose labor's not yet smoked, their fine skin sear from their white heat before he part, let Jack catch fire. So, all told, I've probably read. Now, I'm not a Sylvia Plath expert. I'm not someone who has made all of this to do about Sylvia Plath until really this series. There are several Sylvia Plath poems that I have read many times over, but this is the furthest into Sylvia Plath that I've ever got. But I probably read 25 to 30 Sylvia Plath poems. This so far is my favorite conceit. This idea of the tinker fixing women. Not because it's a particularly good feeling idea, and we'll get into that, but because the metaphysics of this thing are just so interesting. So the question, if it may come up, if you're not sure what a tinker is, I pulled the definition straight from Google. Especially in former times, a person who travels from place to place mending metal utensils as a way of making a living. The tinker himself is not the point of the poem. The tinker himself may be the most interesting part of the poem, and when we think about it, metaphorically, there are two different ways we could understand the tinker. Metaphorically, the tinker, there's three really. Metaphorically, the tinker could be a metaphor for makeup, right? You put a little bit of makeup on, all of a sudden you look 20 years younger, etc., whatever. The tinker could be a stand-in for a plastic surgeon, fixing up someone's appearance, cutting them open, tinkering inside, and fixing the appearance. The tinker could also, and this is maybe my favorite interpretation of this, the tinker might not be doing any of those things. at all. The tinker may be repairing women spiritually. Now, what does that mean, right? Maybe the tinker is someone who is helping a woman feel better. Maybe you're broke, right? Maybe this is kind of not all that great. But if that Tinker Jack makes you feel better, well, it's just as good. It is just as good to feel that much better as it is to be renewed through plastic surgery, makeup, etc. But there are some other interesting things to talk about here. So, writers love the idea of the tinker. If you've ever read The Chrysanthemums by John Steinbeck, you understand the sort of utility that someone who travels from place to place fixing the broken things can have. In fact, in that story, the tinker does talk up the female main character. I top of my head, I don't remember either of their names. I should have checked before this, but talks up the female main character and makes her feel repaired, makes her feel tinked. Later, shortly after, in the poem, she feels like an idiot. She feels that she was taken advantage of, that she ended up paying this tinker for things and things she didn't need, etc. But the idea of the tinker being there kind of by chance, right? He's just coming along, he's just doing his thing, but he's there. Now, a tinker can never make things whole. A tinker can never make things new again. And this, I think, is the sort of point of this poem. Now, the interesting part for me is the idea of the tinker. What does that mean? What I believe the point of the poem is, whether you're looking at the tinker as someone who's repairing women spiritually, whether you're looking at the tinker who is repairing someone with plastic surgery, whether you're looking at the tinker as the idea of makeup writ large, the idea of the profession of a tinker is to go place to place and make things usable again. Your pot has lost its handle. He can get in there and retread it and get a handle on there for you. Maybe it's warped. He can fix that. A tinker does not renew things. A tinker does not create or build things. A tinker comes along and makes things usable again. Here we have in this poem, the question of the tinker working on women via these guidelines. Come, lady, bring that face fallen from luster. Time's soot in bleared eye can be made to glister. For small charge, no forms gone so awry, crook back or bandy leg. But Tinker Jack can forge beauty from hag, hereby insinuating that a woman's use or usefulness is her appearance. A woman's use or usefulness is her appearance. Tinker Jack can come and make her look good again. That's all that really matters, isn't it? But here's the question I have. If you're willing to accept those things, if you're willing to accept that Tinker Jack is doing this thing and making women usable again by making their appearance good again, is Tinker Jack the bad guy? Tinker Jack is the one helping women look good again, repairing their usefulness. But is Tinker Jack the bad guy? Who are we mad at in this poem? It's an interesting set of... it is an interesting set of assumptions. It is an interesting way of thinking about things. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. Tinker Jack and the Tidy Wives by Sylvia Plath. If you like or appreciate this sort of thing, hitting the like button really does help me out on the channel, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button in order to stick around for more literary goodness. There is poetry on the channel every Monday, and I hope to have you back for the next one.